You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with everybody. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Now keep the beat going, snap or clap or whatever you. There you go. Now here's how the verses go. I say something and you say it back. These days are tough. There's work to do. But here I am. Right next to you. Sing, put. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead. Now here's another one, listen. We're here today. We're not alone. And now we shout. Everyone deserves a home. Go! You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with. Sing it again. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead. Say lead with love. And lead with one more. And lead with love. You're beautiful. You sound great. We'll sing that again at the end.
Nation! 60 institutions strong. Churches, synagogues, temples, unions. We got pastors, imams, rabbis, tenants, and housing authorities repping. We are repping thousands of people from our congregation organizations. We're all coming together for public good. GBIO, friends, partners, everyone. We are here on the steps of the State House for a public unveiling of GBIO's Housing Justice Campaign. Welcome! I'm Reverend Lydia Shue, my pronouns are she, they, and a pastor from Reservoir Church in North Cambridge. I'm honored to welcome you today. Thank you for being here. Standing and sitting here with us for one audacious campaign to tackle the housing crisis head on in Massachusetts. Can I get an amen? We're going in, not just talking about the housing crisis, but tackling it head on with action and great hope. I'm doing shout outs, people. Let me hear from you. We got clergy in the house. I see Justice for Housing. I see Sinai Brookline. I see the neighbors. Hey, if you're a tenant leader, if you're living in public housing tenants, let me hear from y'all. We got CHAPA, Mass Union of Public Housing Tenants. Mass Narrow. We got Senator Eldridge, Rep. Connolly, Sen. Brownsburger. Thank you for being here, y'all. And if you are a Massachusetts resident that's sick and tired of being sick and tired of being in a housing crisis, let me hear from you. As always, GBIO, we begin with a spiritual grounding. Let me invite up Imam Talib Mahdi from Masjid Al-Quran and Rabbi Tova Spitzer from Dorje Sedek for our opening prayer.
Good morning, GBIO and the supporters. How y'all feeling? What we say is Takbir. God is greater.
God is great. God is great.
With the last name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. Our text, the Holy Quran, says that the first house raised for mankind was indeed the one at Mecca, rich in blessing, in a guidance unto mankind. Allah, God, has given us the ability to build houses for seeking rest from the injustices of this world and the seeking of His mercy. Allah bless this housing justice campaign with success. To our elected officials within the State House, we say, ask not what the people can do for you, but we ask, what will you do for the people in need of housing? Amen.
Got to give a shout out to Dorshade Sadek over there. This is going. So, this week in the Jewish cycle of reading Torah in the book of Exodus, Moses calls all of the Israelites together. I'm pretty sure they were all wearing blue t-shirts. And Moses has instructions for them. He says, we have a building project. The community is called together to build a mikdash, a holy place. A structure that will allow God's presence to dwell not in it, not in the sanctuary itself, but b'tocham, among the people. The Israelites are told to each bring an offering, and they respond with great enthusiasm. Each person, every person brings gifts for the building project. Goat's hair for weaving, silver, gold, wood, incense, each bringing whatever they can with uplifted hearts, with generous spirits. They bring and bring and bring until there is too much. So this morning, we too are embarking on a building project. We are calling on our leaders, we're calling on our communities to create and maintain housing for all those who need it. We are embarking on a building project to create a social structure, a society in which the godly qualities of love and justice can dwell among us. So my prayer for us as we begin this project is that we be blessed with uplifted spirits, with the heart and the inspiration to see this through. May our elected leaders also be blessed with generosity of spirit, with a willingness to hear the truth and to act as we confront them with the necessity of change. May each of us here be reminded of the special gift that each one of us brings to the holy work of building something new, a better society, a better commonwealth, a better world, and let us say, Amen.
The word for home in sign language is this: hand to mouth, to ear. Can you do this with me?
Yes.
It's a place where you can eat and sleep. As an immigrant who felt like a stranger in many places, our house was the only place where I could take off my shoes, cook up stinky mackerel, and speak my mother tongue, where I felt safe and secure. Everyone deserves that.
Yes.
Everyone deserves a home. When we GBIO got Mayor Wu to commit $50 million to Mildred C. Haley Housing in Boston, I thought, why not all of us? Why not us, the elderly and the disabled? Why not us, the immigrants working hard in low-wage jobs? Why not us black and brown folks who've been caught up in the historical racist systems of redlining? Why not us who are re-entering? Why not all of us? Because we see the tumbling, crumbling downfall of our housing crisis. We are in housing, home. This is a basic human right. Why in a great nation, powerful economy as it seems, are we seeing so many struggle on the streets, struggling to pay rent, struggling to buy a home? This is not just a housing crisis, this is a human crisis. And although the housing crisis purports itself to be a complex and complicated problem, and yes, folks, it's a hairy one, but in the face of Goliath, you cannot mess with the faith and hope of David. You see, I've been reading this story of David and Goliath a lot for my 4-year-old at bedtime stories these days. David was a shepherd and said, "My sling has taken down bears and lions for my sheep." GBIO's sling secured health care for every person in the state of Massachusetts.
That's right.
GBIO sling has taken down bears and lions of the criminal justice system. So GBIO, and I need to hear from you, do we dare take on the bears and lions of the housing justice? David told King Saul, we shouldn't be scared, we are God's people, and you know what, he's right, we are all God's people. God loves all, God cares about all, and housing justice for all. Everyone deserves a home.
Everyone deserves a home.
We're feeling the housing crisis. We see it, many of us are living it. We are here today to act on it. Today, we are calling on elected officials to pass S-1506 and S-878 to support housing access for returning citizens.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
We're calling on elected officials to pass real estate transfer fee enabling legislation. We're calling on elected officials to do all they can to pass MBTA communities in all 175 towns. And we're calling on elected officials to double the operating budget for public housing and put forth $8.5 billion in for public housing. Friends, I'd like to call up to the mic some incredible colleagues and leaders to tell us about how the housing crisis show up in their lives and communities and how our elected officials can act on it. Let me introduce our friend Mark Jones, a GBIO leader from United Parish in Brookline.
You're in front of the cameras, bro.
You're in front of the cameras.
Good morning. I'm Mark Jones, and I'm a returning citizen. I'm a proud returning citizen. And I'm here today speaking on behalf of 3,000 men and women who are going to be released from Massachusetts prisons this year, and 150,000 men and women who in years past have been released but are still suffering from the injustice and the prejudice after they've served their time getting housing in Massachusetts. What does a home mean to me? Simple. Control. A place where a corrections officer can't just barge into my space and say, "Get out of here, Jones," and then proceed to rip up my bed, to tear the picture of my mother off my wall, and to go into my locker and dump my medication, my instant coffee, my cereal onto the floor. And that's what we call an inspection, folks, in prison. But that's prison. That's prison. And I got out 3 years ago. And you know, on that day, what the very biggest question on my mind was, where am I sleeping tonight? And let me tell you, every returning citizen, that is their number one question. And because of the ongoing housing injustice facing returning citizens, it's a question we will all ask the rest of our lives.
That's right.
I was lucky. Friends from church took me that night into their home in Melrose.
Praise God. Thank you, Lord.
And I came out of prison with a state ID. Now you might say, what has that got to do with housing? Everything.
Everything.
Without an ID, you are not going to find a place to sleep.
That's right.
You're not getting into a shelter. You're not getting into a halfway house. You're not getting into a sober house. You're not checking into a hotel. And you're sure as hell, you're sure. They warned me about that. They sure aren't renting an apartment. It's a big problem, and it's a problem that goes way beyond housing. Because guess what? If you're a releasing citizen, suppose a friend of yours wires $50 to Western Union. You can't get that without an ID. Western Union isn't giving you any money.
That's right.
Okay? Maybe you're eligible for SNAP benefits or veterans benefits or Social Security disability. You can't get that without an ID. You can't even walk into a government building without an ID.
Yep.
And maybe you hear about a company that's hiring returning citizens. Nothing you can do about it. You're not getting hired without an ID.
Yep.
do not get sick in Massachusetts without an ID because no hospital is putting you in there. This is a problem that needs to be fixed. People coming out of prison without IDs, it's like pushing someone out naked onto the street. But we need to get behind Senate Bill 2090, which fixes this. Because it requires the Department of Corrections and the Registrar of Motor Vehicles to work together and issue state IDs to every releasing citizen. It's great public policy. It will give returning citizens a chance to rebuild their lives. It'll reduce recidivism, and it's enhance public safety. And guess what? It doesn't cost anything. So join me in calling on President Silka, Speaker Mariano, and the entire state legislature to pass Senate Bill 2090 this session. All right. Everyone deserves a home.
Right into it, or they won't hear you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Closer? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I got it. My name is Leslie Credo. I'm the founder and executive director of Justice for Housing. I see we got my favorite senator here today, Senator Eldridge. Let's give a shout out to Senator Eldridge. I'm standing in solidarity today with GBIO to help us pass our reentry housing bill. We asked our bill sponsors, Senator Gomez and Sam Montano, Rep. Montano, to file S-878 and House Bill 1362, an act to secure housing for returning citizens. Today, I want to tell you a story about my friend Sharon. Sharon and I were incarcerated together. We had a lot in common. We both wanted to return home to our children. She was going to live with her daughter, and I was going to live with my son. Coincidentally, we got to the halfway house at the same time. As soon as I got there, quickly, I realized the disparities between the privileged and unprivileged.
That's right.
I was a homeowner, so I was able to go home within 2 months. I had a successful reentry because I had stable housing. I was able to go to school, get a job, and found Justice for Housing.
That's right.
My reentry looked totally different than my peers. Like thousands, Sharon was denied access to her daughter's home because she lived in public housing. Despite the fact that children have been waiting 5, 10, 15, however many years their parents were incarcerated for their children, for their parents to come home, they were not allowed to. Again, they were let down, they were separated. Husbands can't live with wives, children can't live with their parents. Individuals are asked to be homeless, forced to be homeless when they have homes to go to. Forced into sober homes, shelters, transient. This happened to Sharon. Sharon bounced around from shelter to shelter. Sharon had health problems when we were incarcerated. She ended up in the hospital several times. She would call me from her hospital bed happy because she had a warm bed to sleep in. Fast forward 3 years. Finally, after waiting on the waiting list, Sharon was able to get access to a Section 8 voucher. Unfortunately, after the Housing Authority did a background check, Sharon was denied again. Yeah.
Not right.
This set Sharon over the edge. Sharon tried to commit suicide. I had lost track of Sharon. When Sharon called me, She was in the hospital after cutting her wrist. The nurse gave her a card and said, call this woman, she can help you. And she looked at the card and she said, oh my God, that's my friend Leslie.
Wow.
Because of a partnership with Boston Housing Authority, and I want to thank Boston Housing Authority,
Thank you.
we were able to provide Sharon with a subsidy voucher. We found her apartment. She was going to move in. She got her keys on that Friday. That Saturday, I got a phone call from Sharon's daughter. Sharon had passed away
No.
before she could move in her apartment.
No.
Yes. But she died happy, her daughter said. Happier than she's ever been since she came home. Every day I help people like this. There are 1,000 Sharons out there. But we also have stories of success. Because of Justice for Housing, last year we housed over 76 individuals. We have Jose here, right here. Jose never was able to stay out of prison more than 1 year. Because of housing, Jose's been home, raising his 3 kids, and he even got off probation early. We've proven that housing is the key to our success. Family unification and home ownership are the way to combat recidivism. We're asking Governor Healy, President Zilka, legislators, we call for you to stand with us, march with us to decriminalize housing, and act to secure housing for returning citizens. Thank you.
Great job, sister. Great job. Great job. Great job, brother. Keep up the great work.
Yes.
Keep up the great work. Keep it up. Don't stop.
Good morning. My name is Phil Hillman. I'm a strategy team leader in GBIO and a member of St. Paul AME Church. A Dorchester resident for over 35 years. And for me, my Dorchester home represents love, peace, and safety. Now, as a board member of Dorchester Bay, I know how hard it is to build affordable housing. I have seen the impact of this housing crisis on my Dorchester community. This is the type of crisis that has touched family members, friends, co-workers, congregations. For decades, our housing production has not kept up with our job growth. This has resulted in skyrocketing rents, huge increases in housing prices. If you are low income, lower middle income, the dream of home ownership has become a nightmare.
That's right.
Black and Latino families suffer a greater disparity in this housing market. If you live in Boston, you are likely using more than 50% of your income to pay rent.
That's right.
And incomes for most families have not kept up pace with the rising cost of housing.
That's right.
Now, reality dictates that we must increase our affordable housing production.
Yes.
However, increasing our housing supply requires new sources of revenue.
Yes.
That is why GBIO supports the real estate transfer fee legislation. Transfer fees are proven to be an effective and equitable tool for raising revenue to create and support affordable housing.
That's right.
This transfer fee legislation has allowed Massachusetts cities and towns to enact a small fee on high-value real estate deals.
Yes.
These funds can be used to support new affordable housing construction, preserve existing affordable housing stock, provide affordable housing subsidies, and here's the key, provide mortgage down payment support for support of first-time home buyers. Think of a world where the wealth gap no longer exists. And everyone who desires to own a home can afford to buy one. Housing affordability impacts all of us. We all have a responsibility to ensure everyone has a quality, safe, and affordable place to live. We at GBIO are calling on the Healy administration, President Spilka, Speaker Mariano, and the rest of the legislature to pass the real estate transfer fee legislation. And let us not forget, everyone deserves a home.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Sherry Kassir.
Hi, Sherry.
I'm here to tell you about an opportunity to open up our suburbs for more multi-family housing with the MBTA Communities Act. My husband and I downsized to a lovely small house in Wellesley about 23 years ago. We have been a part of Wellesley's Temple Beth Elohim for more than 40 years. We are deeply embedded in our community, Wellesley. And what home means to me is, frankly, wherever my husband is, Jerry Kassir. And right now, he resides at 21 Squirrel Road in Wellesley. We like it there. But the average cost of a house in Wellesley right now is $1.9 million. Many of my senior friends cannot afford to downsize in a town that they have called home for many years. Young families find it virtually impossible to move into our town.
That's right.
And forget teachers, firefighters, police officers. Well, you get the idea.
We do.
Wellesley is also segregated,
Yes, it is.
and the median household income is over $226,000. Wellesley isn't segregated by accident. No, nor are its neighbor suburbs. Over the years, zoning laws, realtor practices, even urban renewal have had their impact to ensure the community stays wealthy and white.
That's correct.
The MBTA Communities Act could significantly give us a step forward to bring more multi-family housing to Wellesley and hit many other communities. And hopefully one day, step by step, more diversity. Advocates are hard at work in Brookline, Lexington, Arlington, my own town, Wellesley, and many other towns to get this passed in town meetings. I want to be a part of this change, along with my fellow TBE congregants and GBIO. Thank you, Attorney General Andrea Campbell, for calling for this act and for all towns and cities to comply. We appreciate your help. Now we are calling on the Healy administration, the AG, the state legislature, the local governments to use all available tools to fully implement the MBTA Communities Act and to create more multi-family zoning and housing without penalizing housing authorities and their tenants. Everyone deserves a home. Let's get this done, GBIO. Shelley Cronin. I'm the president of Mass NARO, and I'm the director of the Acton Housing Authority. Mass NARO represents 242 housing authorities throughout the state, which provide 43,000 units of state public housing. They also provide 38,000 units of federal public housing and 58,000 vouchers. So they provide affordable housing to 140,000 low-income households in Massachusetts. The problem that we're having with our state public housing is there's not enough money to keep the units in good shape for the residents who live there. In 2005, Harvard did a cost study which said that the cost of operating state public housing was $105 million a year. That year, housing authorities received half that amount. We still don't get that amount 18 years later. The cost now is $184 million after cost of living increases and inflation. Housing authorities have not been able to keep up with the maintenance needs of their units because of this. The state has hired a third party to go out, do inspections, figure out what the capital needs are at these properties. They identified that $4 billion worth of components were long past their life cycle. That means that there were $4 billion needed at that time. That does not include the soft costs of engineers and architects, doesn't include the infrastructure issues such as gas lines, water lines, catch basins, sprinkler systems. We need billions of dollars. $8.5 billion for capital money for state public housing. Our residents are retired, fixed income seniors, people living with disabilities, and families that provide the workforce to Massachusetts. They deserve to live in safe, decent, affordable housing. Not housing with leaky ceilings, leaky roofs, mold, and causing trip issues for our residents. We thank our senator, who's always been there with us from Acton, Senator Eldridge. We thank Rep. Connolly for being here as well, who's chairing the Housing Caucus. And we hope we're able to get the new administration to put a bond bill in that will provide the resources we need. I want to thank GBIO on behalf of Mass NARO for putting this event together. I'd like to thank CHAPA and Mass Public Housing Union, Public Housing Tenants Union for being here, our board members, and our residents for coming and asking for this assistance. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Vishnu Tamang. I live in Brookline Public Housing. I'm a network coordinator at the Union Capital Boston and a leader with GBIO. I grew up with my parents who are Buddhist, but we are raised together as a Hindu community, culturally surrounded.
Nice.
Sorry. To me, home is a clean, safe place where we can live with our family, no matter our status, what we look like, or what we believe.
Exactly.
Home to me is a place where I feel we are all accepted.
Yes.
I moved here in 2015. Shortly after I arrived, the apartment where my child and I live was filled with cockroaches. They were crawling all over our food plate when we sit down to eat. And literally I saw thousands of others crawling all over the apartment walls. The kitchen cabinets were greasy, and no matter how hard I tried to clean up, it wouldn't come off. The tiles on the floor were cracked and broken pieces are missing. We don't usually wear shoes in our home, but I was told that we have to wear shoes to protect us from the asbestos.
Yeah, that's right.
Our public housing is like a show and tell. When we talk about it and so outside, people think, oh, you are taking care of government, how nice. But the inside tells a very different story, different reality. so cockroaches, grease, asbestos, mold, flooding apartment, and mice. And we are paying 30% of our rent money towards the rent. And this is not the government taking care of us.
Not at all.
I wanted to get involved with the Brookline neighbors to fix these issues. When we went to a housing meeting, we were surprised to learn how little funding public housing gets. It is not enough. It is way not enough. I told this story with Governor Healy when she was a candidate in August. Her reaction was that the condition we were living currently was unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
She said she would tell this story, to my story, to a fundraiser meeting that night with my representative Tommy Vitolo. I believe I saw him earlier in the meeting here. It was a surprise to me when the budget came out and the line item for public housing was the same as last year, 92 million. Based on the conversation we had in August, I hope this was a mistake. We know the need, and that is why we're asking 184 million in the operating budget for public housing. Governor Healy, Speaker Mariano, President Spilka, we wanted to work with you to make this happen.
We're here waiting for you.
We all deserve a safe, clean, and a dignified home. And thank you so much all being kind and your attention, because we all deserve a safe home.
Hello, my name's Arlene Hill. I grew up in Dorchester, in the kind of family that you see on Lifetime TV. It wasn't fun. It was horrible. I had abuse. I was taken out of school. I didn't socialize. I was kept with people made to do things that no kid should have to be made to do. I was a drug addict. I was a prostitute. I hated my life. I hated myself because of where I was brought up. I went to a homeless shelter when I was in my early 20s. I had a son, and I got into Brookline housing. And the ability to lock that door and be in my apartment with no one telling me I had to do this or that saved my life. And I pay it forward every day. I pay it forward. Governor Healy, when you were the Attorney General, I felt so protected. You came after the opiate crisis that friends of mine died in. It's your time as governor to use more power to get us to $8.5 billion to fix housing. I am not the only abused child in Massachusetts, and there will be more in generations to come. We need housing because there is no other place that people can learn how to pay the rent, how to live like a normal person, because you weren't taught when you were a kid. This has to be done, and you're the woman to do it. Everyone deserves a home.
Thank you, Arlene. GBIO, we've heard the stories and now we get to action. Remember, David said, we shouldn't be scared. We are God's people. God loves all. God cares about all. So housing justice for all. Everyone deserves a home. David said in Psalm 30:11, you turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy. So we will pick up our grief and anger of the housing injustice we see and experience and turn it into action of hope. We'll cry together at the atrocities of the situation, but we will rejoice together as we support housing access for returning citizens, as we pass legislation to enable local real estate transfer fees, and implement more inclusive zoning in our towns through MBTA communities, and doubling the operating budget and secure $8.5 billion in bonding for public housing in the state of Massachusetts. The story of this campaign is this, that we will turn our wailing into dancing. Do we believe that? Yes! Do we believe that? Yes! Today we call on our elected officials to act. Governor Healy, I remember sitting in the Attorney General office meeting room with a handful of GBIO clergy a few years ago. And another time, I remember GBIO blessing you alongside 1,000+ people, stretching out their arms as the people's lawyer to do the work of defending the people. And your Instagram last week said that at its core, this budget is about helping people. So let's do it with real dollars that will really better the lives of the people. 70,000 people in public housing, which 70% of them are elderly, are counting on you. Senate President Karen Spilka, I get so stoked when I see women in some of the highest places of power. We ask you to use that power for good. Yes. Over 800 state-funded units in Framingham and close to 400 units in Natick are counting on you. House Speaker Ronald Mariano, we know you are a force to be reckoned with, and your force is needed now. You are a key component in making this possible. Transfer fee can generate $1 million a year for Quincy for affordable housing. And over 900 state-funded homes in Quincy are counting on you. Our state and local legislators need to take comprehensive action to address the affordable housing crisis through supporting GBIO's Housing Justice Campaign in the 2024 budget and this legislative session. GBIO, are you ready to take 2 action steps today? Give me the flyer. First, let me see who has our Housing Justice Campaign platform. Lift them up if you're able. And if you have time right now, take this flyer to your legislator and let them know your support of the GBIO Housing Justice Campaign, and you want them as well. Go to the State House through just the General Hooker entrance over, which way?
Right over there.
Right over there. Right over there. You can use the script on the front page. And you can tear it off and rip it off and give the overview and the ask document and leave it behind with your legislator. There are extra copies at the press table. There's a press table right there.
Woo! Tell them now. Yeah.
And second, use your social media to post your pictures from today, your dreams of home for all. Everyone deserves a home. Tag Governor Healy, President Spilka, and Speaker Mariano and GBIO. You will see an example of the tweet on the handout. Post away on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Right. GBIO, let me hear you. Do we want action? Yes! Do we need a budget? Yes! Do we need this bond bill? Yes! Do we need these bills passed? Yes! GBIO, we need action. Everyone deserves a home. 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 GBIO, we are here today, 300+ people right here. We know that we will need to grow this power from here today, and we will. So let's close this action in prayer, and if you're able, take a stance of prayer and pray with me, would ya? And as we pray, notice those people that are around you right now, those who have your back, those at your side, those ahead of you. I want to end with a prophetic vision of where we are headed. King David wrote, years after he defeated Goliath, after he became a king, and after he had built a great temple, a house of God for his people, this prayer was the dedication of the great temple. Let us listen to Psalm 30 as a prophetic dedication of all our people's homes that are to come. Psalm 30, a song for the dedication of the temple of David. I exalt you, Lord, For you lifted me out of the depths and did not let my enemies gloat over me. Lord my God, I called to you for help and you healed me. You, Lord, brought me up from the realm of the dead. You spared me from going down to the pit. Sing the praises of the Lord, you God's faithful people. Praise God's holy name. For God's anger lasts only a moment, but God's favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning.
That's right.
When I felt secure, I said, I will not be shaken. When you favored me, you made my royal mountain stand firm. And when you hid your face, I was dismayed. To you, Lord, I cried. To the Lord, I cried for mercy. What is gained if I am silenced? If I go down to the pit, will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness? Hear, Lord, be merciful to me. Lord, be my help. You turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy. Then my heart will sing the praises of you and will not be silent. Lord, my God, I will praise you forever. That's right, GBIO. We will not be silent. We will not be silent. They will hear the roarings of our grief and hope. Amen. Amen. Let us turn our wailing into dancing.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead. Again, go! You gotta put one foot in front of the other. Lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead. Repeat after me. We're here today.
We're here today.
We're not alone.
We're not alone.
And now we shout.
And now we shout.
Everyone deserves a home.
Everyone deserves a home.
You gotta put. One more time. You gotta put one foot in front of the other. Lead with love. Again. One more. Yeah, you're great, GBIO. Everyone deserves a home.
Everyone deserves a home.
Go. You gotta put one